The best of the morning to you. This is Monday with Friday, preparing you for a better week ahead. Later this year, I shall have lost my father 40 years ago. Last week, as I contemplated Father's Day approaching, I had one of those sharp intakes of sadness that still come, though far less frequently, at having lost him even before I was 25 years old. It didn't help that that memory last week was while I was driving, the act which he was doing when he died in a tragic accident. My father, despite his many faults, was a good man whose goodness showed more as he grew older. Older shouldn't be a word I should apply to him since he died at the young age of 61. Nevertheless, his human foibles regressed the older he became. As I recall my father's approach to his role, I do not hesitate to say that I became a better father to my children than my father was to me and my siblings, but I hasten to say that my children, the one who is now a single parent to a child who has lost a father, and the one who was stepfather of a child for a brief time, are far, far better parents than I ever was. I say with redeeming grace that I am an exceedingly better grandparent than I ever was a parent. Maybe that's how life is meant to be. Parenting quite differently is one of those things I would do if I were to miraculously get a do-over by some miracle of life. And yet, we can't get do-overs. What we get is opportunity to do for others in the present what we did not do for others in the past. One of the few good things that have come from anything in my past that I could call failures, be they personal, parental, and especially moral, is that they challenge me to be more patient, sympathetic, and compassionate toward people in the present who struggle, especially if it is the same challenges that bested me in the past. Perhaps the chief lesson humans should learn from their own mistakes and failures is to give greater grace to those who make mistakes now. Of course, I hasten to make a distinction between people who genuinely make mistakes and those who set out to be callous, capricious, iniquitous, devious, injurious, predatory, and evil. They don't deserve our patience and compassion. Instead, they deserve punishment and detention sufficient to protect others from becoming their next victims. While I was remembering my father last week, the annual meeting of one of the most powerful religious organizations in the world was in progress, exposing sexual misconduct over decades covered up by those whom we can call the fathers of that institution, much like the leaders of another powerful religious organization whose leaders are literally called fathers. Fathers are meant to protect their children, not serve them up to predators and not to be themselves the wolves that devour their children. I thank God that I had a father who, for all his faults, did not expose me to ruin. As an American citizen whose political leaders love to refer to the founding fathers, I wonder what part of those men's fatherhood codified in law, influenced by the scourge of slavery at the time, and now rapidly reinterpreted for originalism, as some love to call it now, exposes me and their fellow American children to ruin. My prayer is that the stepchildren who run America today, or who run any other nation on the face of the earth, would become children who would do a better job than their fathers did, as I did than mine, and as mine do than I. Happy belated Father's Day to all fathers, and may boys and men who shall become fathers don't do it unless you're prepared to become a far better version than your own father. I am Michael Friday, and your week just got better. I'll see you again next week. Happy Monday, all the way to Friday.